2001 Spring Ball. Monday, March 19th, 2001. I ran into Boyd Epley while I was walking into class today. He apologized for not trusting me when I told him I was sick. I guess this means it's all cleared up. Today was the first day back from spring break, and it's also the first day of spring practice. I remembered all the plays pretty well and helped out some of the younger guys. Practice lasted over 2 hours, but it went quickly. Some new developments have come about recently. Most notably, sophomore fullback Judd Davies is questionable for the next year and even the rest of his career due to back problems. Judd was impressive last year and should be a shoo-in for the starting spot if he can get healed. Linebacker Randy Stella might be off the team for a while due to academic problems. Trevor Johnson moved from tight end to rush end, Phil Peets moved from rush end to tight end, and Junior Tagawai moved from D-line to O-line. Quarterback Eric Crouch is sitting out due to shoulder surgery, along with utility O-lineman John Rutherford for knee surgery, and offensive tackle Tim Green looked questionable after today due to the strength of his knee. There are a lot of holes to fill, and we're running out of good talent. This should be an interesting spring. Saturday, March 24th, 2001. Today was our first practice that had a scrimmage section. We can't actually call it a scrimmage because the NCAA rules restrict us to only 3 scrimmages during spring ball, but part of our teamwork session was at full speed. This was kind of hard for a lot of reasons. For one, it was only our second day in full pads and our 4th practice of the entire spring, and it was hard to switch over to full speed after walking through stuff for the whole week. Basically, I don't think I did very well. Monday, March 26, 2001. I saw my grade for the scrimmage, and I was very surprised by how horrible I did. I graded out at 1.3 out of 2, when 1.85 or higher is the level they expect us to play at. That officially makes me one of the worst linemen at Nebraska. With my physical testing scores, my strength comparison, and my on-field ability, I'm now one of the worst athletes on the entire team. I'm surprised I haven't been cut by now, and I wouldn't be surprised if I get cut after this spring. That was just plain horrible. For the grading, you get a 2 for going to the right guy and blocking him effectively. You get a 1 for messing up slightly. You get a 0 for getting everything wrong. Grade all those together and average it out, and I got a 1.3 out of a possible 2.0. Wednesday, March 28, 2001. John Dawson, a sophomore guard, went down with a knee injury at practice today. It appears he blew out his ACL and MCL, and will be out for at least 6 months. It happened on a screen pass when he was running downfield, past a receiver running his way, and their knees collided. On the film, it didn't look like that could possibly hurt anything, but freak accidents like this happen more than we like to think. Thursday, March 29, 2001. There's an article in the Omaha World Herald Sports section, front page, titled, NU Duo Eager to Fill Hole at Center Position. Garrison, Shook Battle to Follow All-American. The article details how the departure of Dominic Raiola is going to create some interesting competition for the center position, even going so far as to mention John Rutherford as a possibility if he can recover from knee surgery. There is even a huge picture of Coach Tennifer, Matt Shook, and me. However, the article doesn't mention a word about me. Now, the media gets all their information from the coaches. Given this fact, apparently the coaches think I'm not even a contender for the center position in my junior year. I guess the coaches are saying indirectly that I should just stop trying. I'm one step ahead of them already. Friday, March 30th, 2001. Either I'm finally getting some more recognition, or I'm just being used to help Shook and Garrison take a break in practice. Today, I learned I'm finally going to be working with the second team instead of being stuck with the threes. Shook and Garrison were both working with the first team, rotating with each other. I was the only center for the twos. The second teamers go against the first team defense, while the number 1 offense goes against the number 2 defense. For me, this was sort of trial by fire. Luckily, memorizing plays is a lot easier for me this year. I guess if I do it long enough, it'll finally sink in. I think I did pretty well against the first string defense. I know I made a few mistakes. Near the end of the day, I was getting pretty tired, but I made it through without a break. After practice, we did some PATs, and I found out that my feet were quickly becoming blistered right on the balls of my feet. The trainer said that they are deep blisters that will probably cause me some discomfort for a couple of days until they surface. Fun. Saturday, March 31st, 2001. Today was the first official scrimmage of the spring. It went well, without injuries, and good things happened on both sides of the ball with all groups. The number 1 offense went against the number 1 defense, and so on, and this caused a lot of good battles. It seems like the number 1 offense really has a lot of work to do to get the group gelling a little better. That's typical. It usually takes the offense a little longer to come together than the defense, just because there's so much to learn. The highlight of my day was one of my last plays. It was a pitch reverse, where we faked the defense into thinking we're going to go left, and then we switch it and go right. My job was to first go straight for the linebackers, angling left to make them think the play is going that way, and then I would peel back to the right, looking for the defenders chasing down the reverse and then pick them off from their front. This play just developed perfectly, and when I got out and looked back for defenders, I saw big Patrick Kabongo. He didn't even see me, and I just ran as fast as I could, lowered down to his belly level, and laid into him with all my force. The hit knocked me down before I even knew it was effective. I immediately heard everyone on the sidelines shouting. I looked back and saw the runner racing along the sidelines headed for the end zone. Behind me, I distinctly heard Coach Tenneper yell out my name in an excited manner. That was a first. I got up, brushed myself off, and looked to the end zone where my dad was sitting in the stands and he was jumping up and down, looking very proud of my block. As I jogged over to the huddle for the extra point, I noticed that my vision was kind of messed up. Everything that was white was now a bubbling yellow color. Bending over for the long snap gave me a head rush and didn't help my situation out at all, but I got through it and the cobwebs eventually cleared out of my head. I had a few more plays to run, got through those, and then went to the sideline to recover when I learned my block took out Pat and another guy behind him and cleared the way for the touchdown. That play really made my day. Afterward, I was pretty sore after only 21 plays, and was ready to get home and rest for the remainder of the weekend. Monday, April 2nd, 2001. I graded out at 1.9 for Saturday's scrimmage. This was the 5th highest grade in the O-line, and is my best score ever. I must have impressed Coach Tenneper, because during meetings he told me I would be on the number ones for today. I switched off with Garrison, getting about a third of the plays. It was definitely a lot harder than going against the number 3 defensive line, but I think I did fairly well. Coach Young even went out of his way to tell me he thought I had a nice block in the scrimmage. Someone must have left the freezer door open in hell. This school semester is probably going to finish out as one of my worst ones ever. Last semester, I hardly missed a single class and did really well in my classes. This semester, my classes are expendable. If I think I need more sleep to be productive in practice and lifting, I'll skip my classes and sleep until noon. It really doesn't make sense to go to classes when I know I'll fall asleep. It always happens. I go to class tired, stay awake for about the first half hour, and then sleep at my desk for the rest of the class. I never learn anything, and most of the test info is straight from the book anyway. It would also be better to get more sleep so I'd have the energy to study after a long day of football. If I don't have the energy to even drag myself through practice, how am I supposed to study when I get home? Too many people have control of my life with too many conflicting demands. I wish I had control of my life. Thursday, April 5th, 2001. Former Husker Will Shields paid us a visit tonight and talked about the NFL. He laid out some of the facts and figures about the averages of number of years played, salaries, and other fun stuff, giving us a look at the reality of the NFL. He also talked about his own experiences, and how he built himself into one of the best with the relentless work ethic, unstoppable desire, and the brains to make the right decisions at the right time. I really enjoyed listening to him, and he gave me a lot to think about while I finished playing spring ball and head to the summer workouts. I think if I focus myself like never before and set realistic goals, I can develop into something that will really shock the coaches. Here's to the future. Saturday, April 7th, 2001. Our second major scrimmage. After last week's good showing with my 1.9 grade, I got quite a few more snaps today. On the sheet, I was scheduled for 33 snaps, 26 with the number 3s and 7 with the number 2s. The whole offense started off slowly and was surprisingly unproductive for quite a few series. The 3s didn't fare too much better when we stepped onto the field, but we did all right. The offense still has a lot of work to do if we ever hope to be productive in the fall. There were a few injuries in this scrimmage. A defensive lineman, Patrick Kabongo, apparently hurt his ankle. I don't know how seriously. And Tony Tata, a linebacker, blew out his ACL, which will keep him out for about 6 months. It doesn't help our defense to lose 2 guys like that, especially when we are so thin for productive players as it is. The defense actually scored first. In the scrimmage today, the defense actually scored first. The number 1 offense finally got a touchdown, and then sophomore fullback Andy Primetime Wingender followed that up with his second score in as many weeks. The kicking game was crippled by a wind that blew unmercifully, preventing all field goals and even 2 extra point attempts. The coaches even had to coordinate some of the various offenses and defenses to keep some of the drives alive for certain groups. All the coaches know what plays will be run at certain times, and the defensive coaches would set their players up in positions that they knew they would fail, just to make the offense look a little better. It's a little insider cheating, but it helps us get a little experience. Matt Shook and I were going to trade out the remaining series at one point. On his third play, he got into a fight with the defensive lineman, Mitch Manstead, and ripped his helmet off. The refs threw him out of the scrimmage, and that tossed me right back into the action. I took the final 4 plays and finished the day with 37 plays. Saturday, April 14th, 2001. We had the annual spring game today. I was on the white squad for the first half of the spring game, backing up Shook. For the second half, I was on the red team, backing up Garrison. I only had 17 plays the entire day, and didn't really do too well, because the guys around me didn't really know what they were doing, and their missed assignments messed me up. I won't be surprised if I grade out fairly low. Finally, when it was all over, and I knew I'd made it through the entire spring without any injuries, I was very happy. Now I can focus on being a regular student with only school to worry about. Wednesday, April 18th, 2001. This is truly the best time of the year for me. I love it. It's getting warmer, school is winding down, there are no football requirements to deal with, and my days are much more free. Although, with this freedom comes responsibility. Without football controlling my extra activities and energies, I've let those relaxing things take priority, and going to class has become an expendable choice. Oh well. Sunday, April 22nd, 2001. Tonight was the Student-Athlete Academic Recognition Banquet. It was held at the Devaney Sports Center again, and tonight was a lot more interesting than last year, if only for about 10 minutes. At the start of the meal, we were informed that a tornado might be coming our way, and that we should leave the floor and move to the wrestling rooms where it was safer. Unlike everyone else, I took my plate of food with me, which got a lot of laughs from people around me. I guess a big man who likes food is funny. When that plate ran out, I went back out for more, and soon after, everyone else started to come back out. Former Husker Trev Alberts was the key speaker tonight and gave a good, short speech. I received my gold medal for highest academic honors, 3.75 to 4.0 GPA for the past year. The whole night lasted a long time, again, and then I had to return to my apartment and work on a sociology project, just like a good student should. Thursday, May 17th, 2001. For the past 2 weeks, I've been doing nothing but relaxing and whatever else I please. This is the best time of the year. School is over, there are no workouts or any football-related activity, and it's springtime. Nothing can be better. I went golfing, partied with friends most of the nights, and got a lot of little things done that I haven't had time for until now. I found out that I got all B's in my classes this semester. This really surprised me because I was sure I'd get 1 or 2 C's. This makes this semester GPA a 3.0, which is the lowest I've had for a semester, but I'll take it considering my lack of effort. I really need to concentrate in school now, and I can't slack off when I come home from workouts anymore. I would like to get a cumulative GPA above 3.5 before I'm done. Right now, it's at a 3.385. I went to the weight room today for the first time in a month and worked out on my own. I did some hang clean and shoulder work, and was pleasantly surprised that I haven't lost too much strength. Friday, May 18th, 2001. I went to work out on my own again at 8 o'clock this morning. Bailey was there, and I joined the little group that he was working out, which included former Husker and Detroit Lions fullback Corey Schlesinger and fullback Steve Krewald. He put us through an entire running workout with a lot of form running, stairs, and doing high knees in place for about 45 seconds at a time. All of this was too much for my body, and I had to make a sacrifice, expelling the cereal I had for breakfast. This is the first time that I've ever thrown up from physical activity. After that was over, I felt a lot better and finished the rest of the workout. We did a circuit workout with leg curls, leg extensions, bench, one-legged squat. (2001) Summer Conditioning. Monday, May 21st, 2001. Today was the first day of our summer workouts. Not everyone was there this morning. A lot of guys were home for the preseason. I heard that Andy Gwenup quit. This now means that Scott Cothe and I are the only walk-on offensive linemen left from our class. We started at 7:15 this morning in the field house with a warm-up and then went to work out. This was a lot easier than we did last Friday, and I left without feeling too tired. I'm trying this new stuff called Juven along with the regular creatine. Juven is supposed to help shorten the recovery time, and so far, I believe it. I take a packet of creatine every morning before the workout, and then come back and take a packet of Juven. This needs to be a very productive summer for me, and I think these supplements should help. Thursday, June 7th, 2001. We started running tonight, although the strength coach has told us this is not yet the official running workout. What this means, I have no idea. Basically, this running workout is just to get us in shape for the real workout. However, with Bailey, everything is done to the extreme. We started off as a group in the pit and did some exercises to work on our steps for blocking. Then we got together and ran through some plays with the young guys. Bailey then joined us and put us through his own workout. We did some long stride running, side running, and backpedaling. We also did this thing that should have been really simple, but we kept messing up. We all lined up in 6 rows, 1 for each position. Then Dave Volk yelled out what kind of step to take, iso, stretch, pull, or pass, and which way to go, and the count. He gave a cadence, and then the guys just had to do the step and run out 10 yards where they would set up again. The group behind them would then line up, and then both those groups would go, and so on, until we all had marched our way across the field with about 5 reps each. This sounds simple, but we kept messing up the count, having guys jump off sides. We all had to do push-ups when someone messed up, but this wasn't enough. Eventually, Bailey had to put an end to it by threatening stadium steps for the mistakes. After that, only one person messed up, but that still meant we had to run stadiums. Before we did that, however, we ran in place, doing high knees for about 20 seconds with the same kind of marching down the field organization. I think some of the guys don't really appreciate the effort that Bailey expects from us. A lot of guys whine about all the hard work, and I'll admit I do the same at times, but I know it's for the best. I hope the rest of the guys realize that Bailey knows more about working out than all of us combined many times over. With his leadership, we can be the best prepared O-line in the country. We have 2 freshmen in for the summer right now, Nate Manley and Carson Schott. Both of them have been a source of laughter for all of us, as I'm sure I was as a freshman. Carson fell backward, losing his balance on the snatch squats, and lost control of the weight in the process. It wasn't a very graceful move, especially for a big guy, and everyone around had a good laugh at his expense. We only have 2 scholarship guys coming in this year, and not very many walk-ons. This isn't good news for the younger guys hoping to move up onto the main squad for practice instead of being on the scout team again. As for me, we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if we brought in any centers, and if we didn't, then I could be on the scout team 1 more year. I really hope this is not the case. 4 years on the scout team will not be a fun thing to look back on. Friday, June 22nd, 2001. This morning's workout was one of the hardest ever. Bailey put us through a workout of his own creation. We put on weighted vests of 40 pounds or more, and then did walking lunges from the sideline out to midfield. There, we did 25 squats, and then walking lunged the rest of the way back across. We then did 15 more squats before lunging our way back across the entire field. At this point, my legs were aching, and my butt felt like it had sand grinding away between all the muscle fibers. Then, just for fun, we side lunged out to midfield and back. After this was over, I was going to go inside and loosen up my back on the bike when Dave Volk, Nick Pavendo, and Tim Green invited me to do some stadiums with them. How could I refuse that fun? So we put the vest back on and walked 2 South stadiums. Monday, June 25th, 2001. I've been trying to find part-time work in Lincoln on my own for the past month without any luck. I really didn't try too hard, but every place I went said the same thing. My hours availability aren't what they're looking for. I can only work from 1 to 4 most days, or at night after the running workouts. Mornings are taken up by lifting and class. Finally, I threw away my pride and talked to Coach Turner Gill, who only had to make 1 phone call to get me a job. I say I threw away my pride because this job, like most of the other jobs they find for athletes, is basically that business doing a favor for the athletic department. Most of the jobs are really easy and pay pretty well. I don't like people doing favors for me just because I'm a football player. But, in the end, when no other choice was available, I used the power that was in front of me. I'm now working at Harris Data Storage, which is owned and operated by Neil Harris, a former Husker football player himself. From the sound of it, he's really thankful for all the doors that playing for the Huskers opened for him, and he's giving back to the program by hiring some of the guys. I really don't know what I'll be doing. I only did about a solid half hour of work for the 3 hours that I was there, but I'm making $8 an hour. Tackle Kyle Colmorgan and tight end Kyle Ringenberg both work there as well. Colmorgan said this is the easiest job I will ever have in my life. Up until now, I've been spending my afternoons either napping, getting stuff done around the apartment, doing homework, or going swimming with my neighbor. He and I have figured out that wasting an afternoon by a pool can be done very inexpensively if you just sneak into a pool of one of the many apartment complexes in town. This way, we avoid paying to get into a public pool, the noisy kids, and the crowds. All you have to do is find a complex that doesn't have a locked gate around the pool, or else wait by the gate for someone who lives there to let you in. Either way, it's a free day in the sun by the pool. Nothing is better in the summer. On a sour note, 2 of our guys have recently been in the paper for doing bad things to their girlfriends. Ivac Thunder Collins was arrested for supposedly beating his girlfriend in the campus recreation center. I don't know the full story, but from what I've been told, he bounced a basketball off her head when they were arguing. Josh Brown, our place kicker, is the other player to get arrested this summer, this time for beating up his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend. Apparently he was drunk one night and decided to pay his ex a visit. I was told that he was trying to get back together with her, but her new man stepped in and Josh beat the crap out of him. He was arrested a short time later, and the next day it was all over the news. Needless to say, the coaches weren't too happy. Coach Solich called a meeting before running one night and told us that the next person to screw up will face severe consequences. So, I guess our quota for the summer has been filled. No more than 2 girls can be beaten up by any of our players. Thursday, June 28th, 2001. I think today was the beginning of something very bad for the O-line, maybe even for the whole team. Tuesday, during our passing league work, guard Jack Limbaugh left to do some long snaps to Kyle Larson. He told me he was going over there, which makes sense because I was in the huddle for the passing league. The problem was that he didn't tell Dave Volk or any of the other seniors what he was doing, and they were all mad that he left passing league to go snap without telling them. Because of this lack of communication, they told him he had to run 3 stairs since they thought he was skipping out. After our running workout tonight, Tony Ufinotti, Jake Anderson, Dave Volk, and a couple of others were screaming their heads off at Jack to run his stairs. Jack tried to explain the situation, but in the end, he had to run the stairs, and a spike was driven deeper in the unity of the offensive line. There seems to be a lot of division across the entire team. This has started in the past couple of months, and I'm worried about the future of our program if this trend continues. There is a definite lack of leadership on the team. Nobody has emerged to lead the team in a positive way. There are the obvious choices, like Eric Crouch and Tracy Wistrom, but everyone else seems complacent. I think this traces back to the Peter brothers and the Grant Wistrom era. These guys were amazing leadership figures on the '97 team and before, but their leadership style was intimidation and domination. Everyone was scared to death of them, and no one ever got in their way, as some of the seniors now still talk about them. When they left, it seemed like everyone was more relaxed and relieved to have guys like them gone. They didn't really train a protege, so their influence stopped when they left. Since then, divisions have developed. I think the division on the O-line started in my freshman year. We worked out that winter by ourselves in the morning, and we were the first group to set an official workout time. This was a good idea to build camaraderie, but we soon grew separate from the rest of the team. We only thought about us, and this selfish mentality finally boiled down to individuals. The O-line is now divided up into many little overlapping groups. Where there was once just a single group that pushed each other to be the best that we could be, these little groups are now competing with each other. Even worse, some of the young guys have a very selfish attitude, trying to improve themselves by criticizing the others who are struggling instead of helping them out. They figure that they will do better on the depth chart with less competition. I hate that. I know I'm not going to be an All-American, and I might not even ever start in a game. But I will push everyone around me to be the best because I'm part of a team, and that team needs the best people to step forward, not the people who got there through the downfall of others. I don't think the coaches are helping either. Coaches Tenneper, Young, and Darlington are all near the end of their careers. Their departures will take away the cornerstone of this program. Nearly 70 years of experience is between those 3 alone. Coach Solich really could do a lot of good if he would just drop his diplomatic, limited liability, adoptive father figure role. He should give it to us straight instead of dancing around the issues with vague references. He should say, Josh and Thunder did some bad things, and now we will all go out and watch them run stairs until they puke. He could change the mentality of this team, but I don't think he's aware of it. I have no idea what he does all day, but I would bet a lot of time is spent in meetings talking about how football can bring in more money, better recruits, better sponsors, higher-paying donors, and better equipment. I wonder what his reaction would be if he saw what was actually going on within the team. Friday, June 29th, 2001. Coach Tenneper had his annual summer cookout at his house tonight. We always have great food, but this was our best year yet. He had 2 big trays full of slabs of ribs. Each slab was the kind you would pay $10 for in a restaurant. I had 3 slabs and was full, along with some potato salad, macaroni salad, beans, and corn. As always, there was a giant cooler full of Bud Light and Busch Light. I didn't stay very long because I had to go to Omaha, so I thanked Coach and went on my way. When I got to my house in Omaha, I discovered one very good benefit of being 300 pounds. My neighbors, who are watching the house while my parents are in Europe, locked the door between the garage and the house, which is never usually locked. Before going out with a group of friends, I put a note on my neighbor's house asking them to unlock that door if they return, because I don't have a key for it. When we got back and my neighbors hadn't returned, I threw my shoulder into the door twice and it opened rather easily. The frame of the door was shattered into pieces and wood was everywhere. I have always wanted to break down a door like cops do on TV, and I must admit it was pretty cool. Monday, July 9th, 2001. Today was the start of the 3 weeks Bailey said would be like a boot camp. The morning lifting wasn't anything new, just the same lifts with slightly different weights. The afternoon running was the thing Bailey was talking about. Not only did we do our whole base program of jump ropes, low ropes, and bag drills, but we also did stairs, high knees, and 10-yard plays. He said if we messed up on the plays, we would have 5 stairs for every mess-up. It didn't take long to get 15 stairs. Luckily for the rest of us, Wes Cody started having back spasms near the end of our drill, forcing Bailey to focus on him and forget about enforcing the stairs. Bailey is pushing us to be as good as we can be by working out harder than we ever have. This is great, but he's relying on threats of stairs to get performance out of us. This can hurt him because his threats are unrealistic. None of us could do 15 stairs after a full workout. I doubt if it's even possible. One time, after we were done with our running workout and tallied up about 5 stairs as punishments, we ran just 2 half-gassers as hard as we could instead. We were all thankful for his change of heart, but his respect across the O-line took a hit because of it. He would do better to just make us run 2 stairs as fast as we could, but he knows what to do much better than I do, so I shouldn't criticize. Monday, July 16th, 2001. To celebrate my 22nd birthday today, I got up at 6:45 to lift. Then I went to work for 5 hours, and went to afternoon running. Happy birthday to me! I heard Coach Solich told Bailey to back off because so many guys have had back problems recently. Bailey took the order, and the weeks of boot camp have changed to give us time to heal. We're doing less running and backing off on its intensity. The goal for this week, according to Bailey, is to get through it without any more back problems. We're even backing off on lifting. I thought what we were doing was great, and I had no problem with any of it, but some of the guys just couldn't handle it. Also in the news this week was the retirement of Dave Ellis, our director of nutrition. Apparently, he has been hinting at quitting for the past 4 years because he was making more money contracting out with pro teams than he was here. I guess he finally had enough and wanted to focus on the pro teams full-time. Well, whatever makes him happy. Good luck, Dave. Thursday, July 19th, 2001. The tradition of hazing the freshmen is alive and well. 2 scholarship guys, Richie Incognito and Gary Pike, have joined Carson Schott and Nate Dog Manley, who are walk-ons. So far, they're all doing pretty well keeping up with us. They can't officially do the afternoon running program because of new NCAA rules, but they do it on their own, alongside us, just not directly with us. Whoever made this rule is an idiot. Sometimes the NCAA makes rules with no logical sense. Tonight, instead of doing our typical passing league stuff in the pit, we sat around while the freshmen went one-on-one against each other in a receiver-defensive back matchup. They all must have run about 20 routes each. Senior tackle Dave Volk was the quarterback and made them run long on every one. One time, Nate Coulterman was the QB and sent them downfield. Before he even made it 5 yards down the field, he threw a bullet and hit Nate Dogg square in the back of the head, and all of us just laughed for a couple of minutes. Another time, Carson was chasing down a long pass, but it was a bit too long for him, and he tripped over his own feet and crashed into the hitting net for the baseball team. Gary Pike and Richie Incognito didn't have any embarrassing moments. 2001 Fall Camp. Friday, August 3rd, 2001. This summer wrapped up nicely with a trip to New York City to see Stacy, my sister-in-law. I also had a chance to see Jimmy Tansey down in New Jersey. He is still very supportive and remains a good influence on me. He wants to see me succeed, and so do I. Today was mostly just a meeting day. We listened to the same old stuff about new rules and regulations, what not to do in certain situations, how to make yourself and the team look good when we're out in public, that kind of stuff. Then we had forms to fill out and all the legal stuff to settle. We learned that Josh Brown will be held out of two-a-days and will also miss the first game until his court case for assault is settled. Linebacker Randy Stella finally got in trouble one too many times and is officially cut from the team. Coach Solich wouldn't say specifically to the entire team what the reasons were, but word spread fast among teammates and friends, and the reason didn't surprise anyone. I'll take a little time out here and talk about this issue with Randy Stella. I know I'm kind of glossing over the whole details of why he had to be kicked off the team, and the reasons for this are because legally and morally and ethically I felt that I wasn't able to. The reasons for his dismissal were never made public, and for that reason alone I don't think I could have shared what happened. For all the other guys that get in trouble here and there that I mentioned throughout the book, if it made the news, I would talk about it based on what they said in the news. I didn't feel that it was my place to use my position on the team to offer insider information like this that could be so detrimental to this person's future. Let's say, for instance, that somebody were to test positive for steroids, which actually never happened on the team as far as I know. This person would most likely be dealt with internally, and all the public would ever hear about it if it never got resolved or the person was never able to clean up their act, would be that the person was dismissed for breaking team rules, or they would find another reason to let him go. But it would never go public because the future of this young man it could be scarred for life if the word that he was doing some illegal activity like drugs got out. So as for Randy's case in particular here, I'm afraid you're just going to have to make your best guess. Team psychologist Jack Stark presented his ideas for our theme this year. The one he proposed was Relentless Men of Honor. I disliked this one immediately. He showed some movie clips from the movie Men of Honor with Cuba Gooding Jr. just to try to drive the point home. It still didn't work. Linebacker Jamie Burrow said he liked the meaning of it, but didn't like using the movie title for our theme. Someone then proposed Relentless with Honor. This is only slightly better than the original theme, and it still makes me cringe. I think someone should just sit down with a thesaurus and make one up. All the good ideas are quickly becoming old and tired. We received our first bit of money for the camp at dinner tonight. I think by the end of this camp we should have about $511. The scholarship guys get much less, but they can't really complain. Saturday, August 4th, 2001. Just as I expected, today was a long first day. We started at 7:30 this morning with meetings. We received a new gray t-shirt and a pair of black mesh shorts. We were also given new shoes, which haven't been rated very highly by most of the guys. We introduced some of the most basic plays to the younger guys. Practice started at 9 a.m., and it was warm without a breeze in the stadium. The health and safety of the players in this heat is the main concern of the coaches and staff right now. There have been a string of heat-related deaths across the country, most notably Corey Stringer of the Minnesota Vikings. It's very scary to think that practicing this sport and trying to stick it out through the pain and the heat can be so dangerous. As a precaution, we're required to weigh in before and after every practice and write it on a big chart in the locker room. This is to record how much weight we lose during practice. Since nobody can lose even 1 pound of fat or muscle in 2 hours, all the weight lost is water and must be replaced. The Gatorade company is making out like a bandit because of this. For every pound we lose, we're told to drink 1 bottle of Gatorade. It's provided free all day long on carts near the meeting rooms and outside the locker room. So far, I've weighed in at 304 pounds and lost about 3 pounds at both practices today. The morning was fairly easy. We're only in sweats and helmets because NCAA rules don't allow pads on the first day. This made it easier because there wasn't a lot of knocking around. I was on the third team and switched off with Richie Incognito. Richie is also a long snapper and is pretty good at it. He'll probably take my spot as a backup long snapper. I just don't have the speed and quickness that this level demands. This morning went about 2 hours, and then we had lunch. The next hour or so was free, and then we were back in meetings until practice at 3 o'clock. This practice was a little tougher, mostly because it was 100 degrees outside. I was moved up to the twos and switched off with Matt Shook. I'm feeling really good out there on the field. I have more quickness and strength than I've ever had before. We had 1.5 gassers at the end, and they were incredibly easy for me. Then, as if 2 meetings today weren't enough, we had a third meeting tonight at 6 o'clock. In this meeting, we went over the afternoon practice film and then went to dinner. Sunday, August 5th, 2001. Today was the first day in shoulder pads. We started at 7:30 this morning, which is ridiculously early for a Sunday, but the days of the week have no meaning during fall camp. You just try to make it through to the next day. This practice went really well for me. I have a lot of energy, I feel like I have a lot more strength and quickness, and I'm doing better against the defense. Because of this, and running with the twos which go against the number 1 defense, my confidence is really high. I've started taking the supplement that is a thermogenic metabolizer. I checked it out with the nutrition person, and she told me that this stuff would show up in a drug test because it has ephedra, a metabolizing agent. It is giving me a lot of energy. The only problem is that it's been linked to heart problems in young athletes. I think I'll try to find an over-the-counter drug with ephedra, and if I get caught, I'll claim that I was taking that instead. Otherwise, there's this drink that claims to clean your system out and help you pass a drug test. This probably is a stupid thing to do, but it will help me get ahead. Also, it gives me a little more energy, which will help me stay awake in classes and meetings, and get my homework done at night. So, now, if I die from a heart attack on the field, everyone will know why. After practice, we were free to go to church or do whatever we wanted. I grabbed a bag of food they had for us, went home and took an hour nap. We had to be back at 1:30 for another session of meetings, and then we were free the rest of the day. Here's a little afterthought I put in. I know what you're thinking. Pretty stupid, huh? Even with all the problems that ephedra and similar chemicals are proving to have, especially on younger football players, I was not deterred. And I wasn't alone. Desire will get you so far. Talent can take you a long way, but if you still come up short and you need to get there quick, there's always an answer. It's usually not the best answer, but when the pressure is on to perform because your position on the team and possibly your future in the sport depends on it, you'll do anything. It's sad, but that's why we have to have a drug test. That's why so many guys push themselves to the limit every day just to prove that they can be something better than the sum of their parts. At this level, it's no longer a game, it's a war. Those with the biggest weapons survive. I believe that the tests need to become more difficult to fake, need to be taken more often by more players, and the players should face public humiliation for their actions. Too many guys get passed off for breaking team rules, and these penalties do not show the other players on the team the seriousness of their actions. Monday, August 6, 2001. This is the first weekday of 2-a-days. The weekdays start with getting into the stadium around 6:30 in the morning, getting some fruit and supplements, then getting taped, suited up, and out on the field by 7:30. The morning practices are in the stadium and go for about 2 hours. The O-line is in the pit with Coach Tenneper and Coach Young, reviewing plays and working on technique. Then we go up to the field, do 2 stations for option drill and full team skeleton, which is pretty much live blocking and pass rushes, and doing mostly pass plays. Then we punt, take a break, and we're right back into stations for teamwork. We do 3 stations for teamwork, and then we're done. These 3 stations consist of pass, run, and mixed. After practice, we shower and eat lunch, and relax from about 11 to 1. The second set of meetings start at 1:30 and goes till about 3. The afternoon practice starts soon after and goes for about 1 hour and 45 minutes. This practice is always on the grass, I guess because it's cooler with the breeze. This practice is similar to the morning, except there's no punt, no option drill, and no full team skeleton. After practice, we shower and take a little time to relax. Then another set of meetings starts at 6 o'clock. These are supposed to go until 7:30, but Coach Tenneper usually lets us out early so we can get the first pick at dinner. I get home by 8:30, rest, and get ready for the next day. They're doing a bunch of remodeling all around the stadium right now. They redid our locker room and put in new carpet and painted the walls. The carpet really needed to be cleaned or replaced, so I'm glad they did it. This new carpet is red, and in the middle of the floor is a big red N outlined in black. They also replaced all the shower heads finally. However, the new ones they put on really suck. After the morning practice, everyone is covered with little black pieces of rubber that Tuesday, August 7th, 2001. Today I took my first try at doing long snaps in practice. Until now, freshman Richie Incognito has taken all of them for our group. I finally got in there and did pretty well. Actually, for the first time in a long time, not only did Coach Young not yell at me, but he actually gave me a compliment. Just a little thing like a compliment helps out so much sometimes. This afternoon's practice was all special teams. The guys not on special teams, like most of the linemen, did group work. We mostly talked through the plays, but Coach asked questions and called on people for the answer. Some of us have a lot to learn about our system. Most of the guys were lost about the plays. Coach Tenneper stresses that we should have a clue about what everyone else on the line does for each play, so we'll know how to react in case the defense does something unexpected. Wednesday, August 8th, 2001. This morning was the first day of full pads. It took a little adjusting for most of the guys to get used to their pants, especially since everyone's legs are so tired. It was a typical practice, and everyone is moving around well, but obviously tired. We had a light-hearted start to the afternoon meeting with a few jokes by Coach Solich. The people on kickoff and kickoff return were watching film, and Coach had them play back one of the kicks for everyone to see. On it, Coach Young was in the middle of the field, looking back at the returners. He didn't see the guys running downfield after the ball carrier, and one of them got blocked right into his back, knocking him over. They must have replayed that scene 5 times, and everyone in the whole auditorium was laughing. Then Coach Solich started talking about how everyone is doing a good job hustling during practice and doing what they're supposed to do. Right then, on the video screen behind him, was a picture of two of the kickers, Kyle Larson and Sandro DeAngelis, just sitting on the water coolers doing nothing. Coach continued, saying that nobody is just sitting around or being lazy, and that everyone is doing all they can to be the best. Once again, everyone was cracking up, and we all had a good laugh at the kicker's expense. At this afternoon's practice, my legs were feeling really dead. I thought the defense would feel the same way, but they were playing their hearts out and really moving well. Thursday, August 9th, 2001. This morning was in full pads on the field again. Everyone is really tired, and mistakes are happening more frequently. It has gotten a lot cooler, but it's still hot, even in the morning. I'm running on the second group with Richie, doing 3 out of every 5 plays. This gives me a little break, but it still wears on me. We got the new press guides and a highlight video from last year today. They finally have my picture and bio in the guide, but they messed up a little bit. It says I only played in the Alamo Bowl last year when I actually played in the Baylor and Kansas game as well. Also, they misspelled my parents' name. Oh well, at least they used the right picture and spelled my name right. Friday, August 10th, 2001. This morning's practice was in full pads on the field again. We're still doing the 2 groups for offense, which gives a better rotation for most of the guys, but wears me out. I'm still going 3 out of every 5 plays with Richie Incognito, and I'm really hurting. My whole upper body is sore. Both of my elbows were banged up in last night's practice, and they're still swollen. My left hand got stepped on by a cleat today and skinned the inside of my pointer finger. My shoulders are tired and have no punch in them. Tonight's practice will just be a special teams practice, which will be a nice break. Tomorrow is a scrimmage and Sunday is off. I can't wait to do nothing for an entire day. Saturday, August 11th, 2001. The scrimmage today started at noon and went for about 120 plays. The offense put on a pretty good show, scoring on the first 2 possessions. The defense had a slow start, but a couple of their main guys are on the disabled list. Overall, the offense looked very strong, especially the O-line. The running backs put on a good show also. Most of them are young and untested, so they are hungry to show off their stuff. Fullback Steve Krewald, I-back Deontay Grixby, I-back Darren Diedrich, and quarterback Jamal Lord were just a few of the guys who really played well today. The younger guys struggled a little bit, but 2 of the freshman quarterbacks, Mike McLaughlin and Mike Stuntz, really put on a good show. Both have excellent speed and great vision on the field. They made big plays today, and I see big things in their future. It's going to be hard for one of them since only one will start at QB. They've also been running receiver routes in practice, so we'll see what it becomes of them in the future. Eric Crouch put on a dominating show, as expected, and also had a great day throwing the ball, putting to rest some of the doubts that have plagued his career. I did pretty well, I thought. The offense is making a lot more sense to me now, and I'm getting more comfortable at center. I had 25 plays, and by the end I was feeling pretty good. Mike Stuntz is having trouble taking some of our snaps, and there were about 4 plays where the ball slipped out from the center-quarterback exchange. My first play came when Coach Solich threw Matt Shook out of the scrimmage for fighting. He wasn't really fighting, though. He just pushed one of the defensive guys who was fighting with one of our offensive guys. When Coach threw him out, he sort of smiled, looked at Coach, and said, "Are you serious? I'm thrown out?" That sealed it, and then I was running center. Shook only missed 1 play, but this had been a recurring theme. I think Coach has thrown him out in the past 3 scrimmages. Monday, August 13th, 2001. Yesterday was our first day off since 2-a-days started, and it went by way too fast. Everyone was really dragging today, especially me. I just couldn't get my body or mind ready for this morning's practice. The afternoon practice was a little better, but not by much. I also caught a cold, which doesn't help the situation. Coach Tenneper likes to play mind games with the linemen, especially the younger guys. For example, say there's a play where the guard pulls for the playside linebacker. Coach will then ask about a similar play, and if the guard says he has the playside linebacker, but hesitates with his response, Coach Tenneper will look at him questioningly and ask, "Do you?" The inexperienced young guy, if he doesn't know the playbook well, questions his own answer, but if he knows the play and answers yes, then Coach Tenneper moves on to the next play. He does this a lot, so we really have to know what we're doing on all the plays. Wednesday, August 15th, 2001. It was raining this morning. Plus, I was more sick than I've been in over a year. I could still function pretty well physically, but my head felt like it was 10 pounds heavier than usual. The weather has gotten a lot cooler since the start of fall camp, and I think the change affected a lot of guys. It also is allergy season, so a lot of guys are sick as I am and congested. This afternoon's practice was supposed to be a special teams practice, and was also supposed to be the last day of 2-a-days. In their infinite wisdom, the coaches changed this at the last minute. Instead, this afternoon was still in sweats. And instead of having only one practice tomorrow like everyone is dreaming about, we're going to do this all over again and have two. Oh well, one more day. In the team meeting tonight, Coach Solich talked about how necessary it is to maintain our strength during the season. He told us to be sure to get into the weight room. He added that even the staff takes care of their physiques, prompting a picture of Coach Darlington with his shirt off to be displayed on the screen behind him. Everyone started cracking up, even Coach Solich. Coach Darlington is one of the oldest coaches, and his appearance would not be characterized as trim. He isn't obese by any means, but many years of low-intensity workouts don't leave the skin very tight. Thursday, August 16th, 2001. Today was full of surprises. It started this morning when I was in the training room waiting to get taped for our full pads practice. The coaches sent a message that we would be going in half pads instead, and this was late to make a change like that. Senior quarterback Eric Crouch delivered the message, and no one believed him. All the trainers said, "Yeah, sure, Eric. You don't need to try so hard to get voted captain." Switching from full pads to half pads really doesn't make much difference. Everyone still goes pretty hard during practice, but I think everyone is more comfortable overall when we're in half pads. The other surprise came during the morning practice when I heard a rumor that the afternoon practice had been canceled. I was immediately much happier, but skeptical. At the end of the practice, Coach Solich confirmed it, and you could see the approval on everyone's face. We just had to return at 3:30 for meetings, and that was it for the day. It was very nice. Friday, August 17th, 2001. Another day of surprises. Only this time, one was good, the other was disappointing. Our second scrimmage was today, but it was very different from last Saturday. Aside from the fact that only 89 of the 105 original guys are healthy enough to participate, we had to run scout offense and defense against the top two units. And, just like always, I was on the scout team offense. This was very disappointing. I didn't run a single one of our own plays during the entire scrimmage. I just had to look at the card and run the TCU offense. The TCU blocking schemes are ridiculous, especially against our defense. For example, I'm supposed to scoop with the backside guard around a backside shaded nose and try to get the middle linebacker on an outside play. If our defense doesn't just destroy them, I'll be very surprised. The good news came at the end of scrimmage when we found out that the afternoon practice Saturday, August 18th, 2001. Apparently, I had a little too much fun last night at a local house party. I got home at about 6 o'clock this morning and then went to bed, dreading the thought of the meetings and practice in just a few hours. Meetings were scheduled for 8:30 and practice started at 10. I woke up at 10. I raced to the stadium, got dressed and out on the field, and luckily only missed a couple of minutes of practice. Coaches Tenniper and Young and the rest of the O-line, who obviously noticed my absence at the meetings this morning, were surprised to see me and asked what went wrong. I told them I forgot to set my alarm, which actually was true, but I didn't volunteer any more information. I didn't really have to. The coaches have been doing this long enough that they don't even need to ask when something like this happens. They just know. I wasn't alone in my condition. A couple of other linemen were actually still drunk from the night before, and one of the guys reeked of tequila. Luckily for us, the practice was in sweats and we didn't have to do a whole lot. After our half-hour teamwork station where I was once again on scout team, the linemen retired to the benches to watch the kicking practice and relax. A grasshopper was hopping around and became the center of attention as it was thrown on unsuspecting people to freak them out. One time it got away, but not far enough away from the grasp of John Dawson. Tim Green told Dawson that he would pay him to eat it. Everyone else chimed in and said they would pay him $5 apiece if he ate it. John didn't have to think too long about it. He bit the head off first and chewed it loudly, which caused Cothy and Shook to gag and almost throw up. He continued eating it until the whole thing was in his mouth. He just sat there chewing it for the longest time, occasionally sticking his gut-coated tongue out at people who didn't believe him. After practice, they had pizza for us in the Hewlett Center. There must have been about 150 different pizzas stacked up on the tables, and everyone got their own box. At 1 o'clock, everyone was back out onto the field for fan day, and for the next hour and a half I signed my name so many times that my hand was sore. The captains were chosen today as well. They are Eric Crouch, Tracy Wistrom, Dave Volk, Jeremy Selecta, and Keo Craver. Sunday, August 19th, 2001. I went in for treatment on my hand today. Something is wrong with my right thumb. It gets really sore during the season, and it's hard to grip the ball. Sometimes when it gets hit in practice, I can barely stand the pain. They x-rayed today at the stadium, and the initial diagnosis is nothing is broken, which I already knew. This has been a constant injury, occurring every season going back to high school. It's probably tendonitis or something like that, but I will have to see another doctor tomorrow night. Monday, August 20th, 2001. I knew I wasn't going to get away free from missing meetings on Saturday. I had to run 3 stadiums after practice, and after that, we just did 1.5 gassers. I did 2 and called it even. My legs were about ready to fall off. A few more guys got in trouble this weekend. Linebacker Tony Tata and I-back Darren Diedrich were downtown Saturday night. Around closing time, they were standing outside one of the bars where a large group of people usually gather. The police came through and asked the crowd to disperse, since this had been the scene of many fights. When the cops came through again, apparently some profanity was used, and Tony was arrested. Darren, who was not drinking, argued about the arrest, and the cops arrested him as well. They were ticketed for disturbing the peace and failure to disperse. The media immediately got a hold of this, and it made the front page. This is a really minor ticket, and the coaches don't know what the punishment will be. During meetings today, we made the coaches leave, and the captains talked about what will probably happen and how we should deal with it. Nothing really was dealt with officially. Basically, a bunch of people spoke their mind on the issue, and we ended up right back where we started since no consensus could be reached. Practice today was rough. Mondays usually are, but today was just painful for me. I had no energy, and also my hand hurt so badly that I was forced to snap with my left hand, which caused some bad snaps and limited my blocking ability. This is supposedly the last day in full pads until the game. Tuesday, August 21st, 2001. Today's practice was a little better. I got to the training room at 7 this morning to get a brace for my hand. This took a long time because they had to try a couple different things before they got it right. Eventually, they got my whole right thumb immobilized. This caused some difficulty blocking, but provided good protection from getting hurt like usual. Since our first game is a kickoff classic, and not just a regular season football game, we can receive special gifts for participating in it, kinda like a bowl game. We voted that we would like video cameras, which we received after practice today. They are pretty nice, but nothing spectacular since they could only spend $300 per player. They're Panasonic palm quarters with some nice features, and should come in very handy later on. Thursday, August 23rd, 2001. Rank has its privileges. Upperclassmen are privy to a lot of information, and I'm really enjoying it. Richie Incognito was caught breaking team rules recently. The details are a big secret, and are not being discussed, even on the team, but a few of us on the O-line know. As punishment, he had to run 5 stairs at the end of practice today. The coaches will be monitoring him closely over the next couple months to make sure that this doesn't happen again, but for now, it's certain that he won't play in the first game. This makes me the second-string long snapper once again. Garrison wants me to take over the first-string position, but that decision is up to Coach Young. We received some more free clothes after practice. We were given our team T-shirts with the Relentless with Honor motto on it, and also picked up our warm-up travel outfits, along with a new pair of shoes. I finally was able to see the doctor about my thumb. He gave it a shot of cortisone. It was really sore and swollen for a couple of hours afterwards. I hope this works. Friday, August 24th, 2001. The cortisone shot must have helped because I'm finally able to snap today without a lot of pain. It's still tender, but the majority of the pain is gone. Today's practice was a typical Friday that only lasted about a half hour. After practice, I got more treatment and went to dinner. The rest of the team showed up today for their physicals and paperwork. A lot of guys are pissed off that they won't be able to suit up and play in the game like they were told a while back. Apparently, the NCAA considers this game to be like a bowl game, so only the players who have been a part of the team for fall camp are able to play. They're still going to suit up about 5 seniors who weren't a part of the two-a-days. On the other hand, some guys are not suiting up and saw this as a perfect opportunity to party the night before a game. I'm not staying at the Nebraska Center tonight, so I'll be free to do whatever I want. I'll most likely go to bed early since I do have a good chance of playing tomorrow. I've got to add a little something here for this commentary. The reason those other players were mad that they weren't going to be able to suit up for this game is that school hadn't started yet when this game was played. The NCAA rules were basically saying that since this was a special game, and since the official practice time for these guys coming in hasn't started yet, that they weren't technically eligible to suit up and be part of this game. The Nebraska Center, which I mentioned here, was an actual hotel on the east side of campus that has since been closed down, but at the time, the team used that the night before games to basically corral all the first and second team guys and anybody else who had any chance of playing. And they would make sure that they got him good food and that. 2001 season. Saturday, August 25th, 2001. Nebraska 21, Texas Christian University 7. This was a slow, unexciting game from the first snap. Our offense had no power all day long, but luckily we had enough good athletes, such as Eric Crouch, that we were able to get the score up a little bit. Since the game was played before the official start of school, we weren't able to have the full team for practice, just the 105 from camp. This meant that we didn't have the numbers to really have an effective scout team for the offense to go against. Because of this, we got caught with our pants down many times. In fact, there were 15 plays where we were stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Coach Solich said that's the highest number of negative yards he's ever seen from us. Most of the time, it was just a simple missed assignment by one of the blockers, but other times, we simply ran the wrong play into the defensive setup. A couple times, their guys were too quick off the line of scrimmage, and we couldn't even get a finger on them before they tackled the ball carrier. On the other hand, the defense put on a great show, giving up only 6 first downs the entire game. Kyle Larson debuted at punter and had a great day, averaging 48.6 yards for 8 punts. Sandro DeAngelis was the place kicker since Josh Brown was held out for disciplinary reasons. He made the first extra point kick. The second one had a bad snap, and he didn't get to kick it. And then for the final touchdown, we went for 2 points and got it. That bad PAT snap should have been an indication to Coach Young to put me in for those snaps, since Garrison is the starting center and he's probably going to get tired when he's on the field that long. But once again, I didn't get in for a single play. Saturday, September 1st, 2001. Nebraska 42, Troy State 14. Once again, it wasn't pretty, but we got it done. And once again, the defense did a hell of a job. There were plenty of highlights on the defensive side of the ball, but not too many from the offensive side. We were stopped many times within the 10-yard line, even going for it on 4th down and not getting it. We just couldn't finish the job. Before the game, Coach Young told me he would probably put me in for the extra point snaps. In the second quarter, he told me that I would have the rest of the extra point snaps for the day. We then made it to the red zone, where our drive ended. That was one chance lost. In the second half, the same thing happened 2 more times. So, I guess I can say that I almost played, but almost doesn't count in this game. Coach Tenneper was very disappointed in this week leading up to the game. The first-string line performed poorly in the last game, and this week of practice didn't show any vast improvement. The second-string guys, which I'm now officially a part of, have been doing very poorly, but we've been consistent. Every day, somebody gets yelled at for doing some stupid mistake, and it seems that Coach Tenneper loses more faith in us each day. I'm not sure what the main problem is, but I have a few ideas. I think we just need to go back to square one and start with the basic terminology of the offense and also the basic techniques of our assignments. As I see it, on both the practice field and the game field, we're missing some of those key components which basic technique would teach us. We have guys who know what they're doing, where to go, and who to block, but they're not doing it as well as they should. We received $15 after the game. Tuesday, September 4th, 2001. I had an interview with our radio announcer, Warren Swain, after practice today. He asked me beforehand if I had any interesting hobbies or things about me that we could talk about. I mentioned that every 2 years or so, my dad and brother and I go to Canada for a fishing and canoeing trip. He started the interview asking me what he would experience if he were to join us on our next trip. I told him the basics of what we would do and what he would see. He asked if there had been any harrowing experiences, and I mentioned the one time when I was about half my size I am now, and I fell in one of the portages and couldn't get up because the backpack was so heavy, even though it was the lightest one we had. He said later that it was a really fun interview, and I think it went pretty well. I have no idea when it's going to air. Friday, September 7th, 2001. Lieutenant Shane Osborne, the pilot of the spy plane that was shot down recently over China, who is also a native Nebraskan and alumnus of this university, came to practice today and gave us a short speech afterward. He talked about how we should do as much as we can to prepare ourselves for our futures right now. It was a short speech, but it was very good. He will do the coin toss at the game tomorrow. Saturday, September 8th, 2001. Nebraska 27, Notre Dame 10. This was a beautiful game. We came out strong and showed what we can do. We scored 17 points in the first quarter and capitalized on many of their mistakes. It didn't take long for the offense to set a rhythm. After that, it was all over. It was 27-3 at halftime. The coaches decided to play ultra-conservative football in the second half to try to keep us from giving the ball away. This worked well in the turnover department, but left the offense disheartened because they really weren't trying to score, they just wanted to gain possession and waste time. Apparently it worked. Again, the defense played their hearts out, holding the Irish to just 162 yards of total offense. Our defense is really looking good this year, and I think they will be unstoppable all year long. Before the game, Coach Ron Brown told us that we have been in a situation like this before, in 1997, where we didn't play too well in our first 2 games, and then in the 3rd game we blew up Washington and made a name for ourselves. He said a lot of people doubt us right now, and that we have our back to the wall. I thought of an image of a wild animal that's cornered. The animal will get crazy and fight with every bit of strength in its body to get out of that corner. I think we did just that tonight. I heard that 67% of our fans thought we would lose this game. A lot of people have lost faith in us, but I think we got it all back now and then some. ESPN's Game Day crew was in town today and did a live show from Memorial Stadium this morning. Our fans set a new Game Day record for attendance when as many as 16,000 people flooded in for the free show. It was taped so early that I was able to be in the stands for this since I wasn't at the hotel last night with the guys. Commentator Lee Corso ended up wearing a big red foam cowboy hat that was parachuted in by Army paratroopers. This is his trademark way of showing that he's picking Nebraska to win the game today. We received $15 after the game. Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. This was a day that will always be remembered. I woke up this morning to frantic phone calls, and then my roommate tells me that the World Trade Center buildings in New York City had just been hit by planes and collapsed. We watched it on TV before I had to run to class, and it was amazingly surreal. I stared at the television in disbelief. They showed footage of a large commercial jet slamming into those great buildings like a missile and exploding in a ball of flame, with people in lower Manhattan running for their lives. My parents were quick to call and report that my brother Jason and his wife Stacy, who live in New York City, were safe. There were reports of other planes hitting the Pentagon and a car bomb somewhere in D.C. I wanted to watch this unfold, but I had to go to class. As the day went on, televisions everywhere, on every channel, were tuned into the events in New York City and D.C. I was not only amazed by the events themselves, but by the reactions of those around me. Some people were laughing at footage of people running through the streets in terror. The scene of the plane diving into the building brought oohs and ahs as if it were some Hollywood movie. I fear that we as a nation have been too complacent. There is no great unifying event, especially for people of my age and younger. For us, World War II was old history, and the Korean and Vietnam War are just footnotes that we've glanced over. After the Persian Gulf War, we had so much faith in our country's safety and dominance in the world, especially with the Cold War having ended, that we just went about our merry lives with no worries at all about our safety and security. That all changed today. We are vulnerable. We have enemies. These enemies have shown that they are capable of the most despicable acts of violence and can attack without remorse. If there's a war, I'm enlisting. In football news, apparently I had a pretty bad week last week and been moved back to the scout team, while Richie Incognito moved up to the 2s. I also heard that his parents are in town, so that might be the reason he moved up. So basically, this is the 4th consecutive year that I've had to do some scout team duty, and I'm not happy about it at all. A national tragedy isn't even enough to make us stop practicing. As practice went on, I got more and more upset about my performance, and on the last play I punched defensive lineman Mania Brown in the face mask while we were in a pushing match after a play was over. Luckily, none of the coaches saw it or his hit in retaliation, so we didn't have to run for it. While we were sitting on the benches watching kickoff practice, I heard that Matt Shook hurt his knee. I don't know exactly what he did, but they said it sounded bad. Then, right in front of us on a kickoff return, Clifford Bry was running and all of a sudden fell down in pain, clutching his knee. In the locker room, he said he tore his ACL, so he'll be out for the rest of the season. If Shook is out, I don't know if I'll be second string or not, because I'm not sure the coaches have that much faith in me. Rutherford will most likely be first string guard and second string center, and then if Richie is still ahead of me, who knows? I'll just wait and see. So, this has been a weird day. The following is a little afterthought section I put in. As I'm writing this in February of 2006, the military occupation of Iraq is still going on, forever looking like a quagmire. I said I would enlist, and I meant it. However, I do not agree with what the war has become. I would have fought in Afghanistan where we had adequate reason to invade, not Iraq where we had to invent reasons to be there. Our misguided failure of a president got us into this mess, and he's consistently shown that he doesn't have the leadership ability to find the way out. Even after borrowing and spending trillions of dollars, there seems to be no end to governmental oversights, while this administration keeps digging this country into a social and economic black hole. Alright, so I know I got on my soapbox here and went on a little political rant, but to be honest, in the past couple years, who hasn't? I can't wait until this country is run by people in political offices who are a little more moderate in their style and focus on consensus building and actually getting things done.